they're going to invest in what's more
Ready?
effective.
Okay. Good morning. I'd like to call to order the regular board meeting of Tuesday, August 8th, 2023 for Tuolumne Utilities District. General Manager Perkins, would you like to lead us in the pledge, please?
Ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, public forum. We'd like to welcome the members of the public who have taken the time to attend this meeting and provide comments on matters related to district business. Any member of the public may address the board relating to any matter within the board's jurisdiction. This need not be related to any item on the agenda. However, the board cannot act on an item unless it was noticed on the agenda. Persons speaking during the public comment will be limited to 5 minutes, or depending on the number of persons wishing to speak, it may be reduced to allow all members of the public the opportunity to address the board. Since there's no one in attendance, Corey, how about online? Is there anybody out there?
At the moment, no.
Okay, then we'll move on to consent calendar. Melissa.
Okay, item number 1, minutes of the regular board meeting of July 25th, 2023. Item number 2, approval of reimbursement claims for director statement of meetings attended and or travel expenses and claim summary for July 2023. Item number 3, reject claim for damages, claim number 23-03, Randy and Susan Simpson claimants. Item number 4, reject claim for damages, claim number 23-04, Allstate claimant.
Okay, I know there's at least one pull. Anybody like to pull any of the items? Director Ringen.
I'd like to pull the claims summary, but I think it's going to be a waste of time because there's nobody here to.
I'll give it a shot.
Okay.
I studied it again.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Okay. Any other director like to pull something? Okay, Donna, or who's going to pull? Abby, were you going to pull item number 4?
Yes, please, just need to defer it.
Okay.
Until potentially a later date or not at all.
Okay, so item 4 is pulled for deferment, and so that'll end that one. So we'll go ahead and go with Director Ringen and his the director's statements and the claim summary.
Okay, page 1 of 21. 29th District Agriculture Association. It's not much money, but what in the world are we doing with an agriculture association?
You got me. But I don't think is that the local farm bureau?
No, that's not the Farm Bureau.
Okay.
We have what page Ron was that on again?
1 of 20. 1 of
Number
21.
1 of 21.
Oh, number right at the top of the page. Yeah.
Do we have a lift
District.
station or communication station somewhere nearby that we're buying power from?
It says sewer electrical charges?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Must be for a lift station or something, huh?
It's kind of small for a lift station as far as power, but a communication station,
Okay,
you know.
that makes
That's
sense.
a good question. Let me look. I used to pay close attention to all that. So it sure doesn't ring a bell. Let me ask around.
Okay, so then also on that page 1 of 21. This is probably a better one for President Kearns. Aqua JPIA. $12,943.44, $161,753, and another $9,000. Is this insurance or?
That's what it is, isn't it, Abby? And unfortunately, yeah. Well, fortunately, yeah, we've got insurance. Unfortunately, the premiums continue to rise.
Yeah, so we have several different types of insurance with Aqua JPIA. So the first charge is for our employee benefits, dental, vision, EAP, life insurance. That's on a different side of those premiums. And then under insurance premium, annual property premium. So property rates did increase almost 20%.
Yikes.
Yes, yikes is right. And we also are insuring, the value of properties is going up as well currently. So you have a higher total amount of facilities that you're insuring. And then the workers' compensation, we pay on a quarterly basis. So that's why that's their Q4, 4/1 through 6/30/2023. And then the last one is for cyber liability. Actually, cyber liability did not increase this year, but you may recall last year, it went from $900 a year to $9,000 a year.
That's right.
So for cyber, so.
Yeah,
Good Lord.
yeah, and just as a follow-up on that too, when I was at the JPIA meeting, when was that last one at Monterey? Barbara, you were there, March or whenever it was. I was pretty shocked that it didn't go up even further at that one, but because cyber, as we all know, is running rampant like everything else. So anyway, go ahead, Ron.
6 of 21. Clipper Controls Incorporated, open channel flume. What in the world? $7,900.
Yeah, I think I read that one. 6 of 21. Partial flume meter. I don't know if that's the meter itself or some component of a meter, but it's one of our partial flume. And you know, that instrumentation goes out from time to time. We got to buy new.
Oh, okay. Also on that same page, Clark Broadcasting Corporation, about $3,500. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I'd be happy to answer. And so 2 of those $475 charges were for an advertisement banner that we were doing. We actually are discontinuing that banner because we aren't sure we're getting the value from that on a
Thank
monthly
God.
basis.
I've been
We had it.
pounding on the table over that for years.
We had an annual contract with them, so that ended as of July, right? Okay, great. And then the radio advertising is just something that we do when there's a ditch outage because that's a big ticket item. We need to make sure that people understand that they should conserve for the week of the ditch outage. So that's what that charge is for.
That makes sense, but is that really does it really do any good? Let's put it that way.
We believe it does. A lot of people listen to local radio in the community. And so that along with the My Mother Lode ads that go into, they do for free. They put articles, My Mother Lode about water conservation, and then the signs that we put around the communities. We do see conservation during those times.
Okay. 14 to 21. Last Pass USLP yearly renewal.
Corey.
That's our password manager.
Oh, okay. 17 to 21. Robertson Bryan Incorporated. DWR SRWWT. This must have something to do with the wastewater treatment plant. But
Oh, that's RBI. Yeah. So that's our consultant helping us work through the new WDR and things for the new plant. Yes.
okay. That's really been an expensive project, man.
Yes.
It just goes on and on. 20 to 21, Tyler Technologies Incorporated, Insight quarterly transition fees. What in the
That's
world?
our financial software. And there's our financial.
Okay. Also on that page, underground service alert, California state fee for regulatory costs.
USA.
Why do we have to pay them when we have to pay our employees to run out and go?
Yeah.
It's USA.
I think I'm trying to find a polite way to say that, but struggling.
It's similar to a membership service because we do USAs, but we also rely on the other utility companies to do USAs, and the underground service alert manages the program and maintains the regulations and ensures enforcement and things. So there's a fee.
Okay. And then finally, just for an FYI, I find it each month amazing to see what it takes to keep this organization moving forward. Under Hunt and Sons Incorporated, which is our fuel supplier, we only spent $2,613, $4,050, $15,000, almost $16,000, and another $5,000. It's a lot of fuel. Must mean that the crews are really moving around. And then I also, just for an FYI, we only spent $38,500 on TPPA. And I couldn't find PG&E. I found one deal in there for PG&E, but I thought that it was really low compared to what we normally get. It was $9,000, but it was mixed in with a project also. So I don't understand that.
Yeah, it's just probably a difference in the billing cycle. Maybe we just didn't see all the PG stuff in this particular billing cycle.
But you know, $9,000, that's great if that's because it used to be a whole bunch more than that.
Yeah, again, I used to pay so close attention to that. That's Eric's responsibility now, so I can't really comment, but
Yeah.
it hasn't gone down much. Although, hang on though, let's give ourselves some credit. We've done an amazing job of reducing the amount of power connections we do have by a lot of the consolidations we've done. So there's fewer booster stations online, fewer tanks online, now fewer plants online, right? So actually but that's all on TPPA, sounds like most of that. But anyway, I really can't.
You beat me to it. I was going to say that maybe the reason why it seemed so much lower than it used to be is that all the interties and the gravity feed and everything else maybe is finally starting to really show itself as a money savings.
It really should start showing up. If Steve was here, he'd point to the bottom line that this is probably, I think he said this is the single highest claim summary ever at $4.2 million.
I know, almost fell out of my chair when I saw that.
1.4 went to Kiewit at regional. So
yeah. Well, that's it for me.
I do have an update. The 29th District Ag Association is the lift station at the fairgrounds. So they charge us. It goes to them and they turn around and charge us.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay, any other director have anything on the consent calendar? Or anybody else for that matter? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the yeah, whatever it is.
Consent calendar.
Calendar.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Okay, all right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the consent calendar. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, passes 5-0. Melissa, regular business.
Okay, item number 5, consider approving a resolution adopting the district social media policy.
Okay, good morning, President Kearns, members of the board. If there's anyone watching in the public, Abby Parkhan, Administrative Services Director. A few months ago, I asked Emily Long, who's our Administrative Services and External Affairs, to help draft a social media policy. Emily manages our own Facebook page and our TUD website and associated communications with the public. And as you know, social media is sort of old news by now, but so every district that I've ever looked up has a social media page. It's an important way to get information out to our customers and the public on good things that we're doing here at TUD. If we're hiring, we've been using that for that, and we've had some success there, getting people's attention, just informing the public about what goes into their bill and what's happening here at TUD, both water and wastewater. And with your board, any updates on meetings or any important information, because it's a fast way to get info out to folks. And so we have been doing that for coming up on a decade with social media here at TUD. However, we've never had a policy associated with social media. And it is important that we do, because it informs us, Emily and I, as we administer the social media page, but also our own employees on how to treat social media, both on with respect to the TUD's Facebook page, but also as it relates to employees who may have taken a photo at work or some footage at work and then post it to their personal page or something like that. So it just keeps us all staying professional with TUD, anything associated with the TUD social media page. So we looked out, as we do with when we're trying to put together policies, we looked out at CSDA and some other district social media policies. We drafted one, went back and forth a few times, and then also sent it to Dawn and Jesse Barton. And so Jesse had just a couple of tweaks to it. We added a couple other, one other piece to the employee personal use side, just in cases of emergency. So we're not having employees posting emergency situations or something like that. As there's been other public scrutiny over, like, say, helicopter crash and first responders posting that footage on their own personal social media pages. So there's information out there on case law about how to handle those situations. We incorporated that into it. Social media, while it's great, it also can pose some risk to the district. So we just want to make sure, just like anything else, any information we're putting out there is professional. So what we have in front of you is the social media policy. It's very short. It's only 2 pages, gives you the purpose, authority over the page, what kind of professional use, what personal use is acceptable, and also allows the district per government code and per law, public access laws and everything, lets us know when and when we can't remove something, a comment from our personal or from our TUD social media page, because if someone's being obscene or has disparaging comments that could be discriminatory or something like that, then we do have the authority to remove it. But if it's just critical, we wouldn't remove anything, because people have freedom of speech. So we have to be very delicate there. So that's why we had Jesse Barton take a look at it. Other than that, it just gives us a means of so that we're consistent with the page, because if someone else manages it after Emily or myself, then they know what to do with the social media page as well. With anything, it's an evolving situation with social media. So we'll continue to stay abreast of what any upcoming laws and things come up with it to make sure that we keep it updated. But we wanted to bring this before you to get something in policy so that you guys could be assured that we're working in the best interest of the district and reducing liability on the social media side. So with that, I'll answer any other questions that you have.
Okay, any questions, Director Ringen?
So I read through that 3 times, believe it or not. I could not figure out why we were doing this, or if we had some sort of problem, and this was to correct it. But from what your description just was, it sounds like this is mitigation, just trying to get ahead of the curve in case there is a problem. The questions I had, I'm not going to ask now because I think you answered them.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Anybody else? Director Balin.
Yeah, I'm thankful that you explained the purpose and need, like Director Ringen said, that it was time. And I'm glad that you guys built on existing and ran it through the the powers that be to okay it. So I really appreciate it. I think it's really timely. At first, I kind of was thinking, well, because I know when you cruise around there, you've got your personal phone and you've got your district phone, and but yet your personal phone's handy, but you want to take some photos of that, of what you're doing. I think as the next generations grow up, this is hopefully if we have this in place, then they'll know what is a small risk and what is a big risk. It'll be
Yes.
more intuitive as time goes on, I think. So I think this is a good first start. So thank you, Emily, for your work.
Anybody else? Okay, I was gonna ask for public comment, but being there's nobody here, how about, and on the web, nothing out there, Corey?
No.
Okay, bring it back to the board.
I'll move that we adopt this policy.
Second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded to approve the proposed social media policy. Any last discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Yes.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Good job, Abby. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Emily too. I know you had a hand in that too. Okay, next item, Melissa.
Okay, item number 6, discuss TUD vote for the Aqua President and Vice President for the 2024-2025 term.
Okay, is this you again, Abby?
It is
Yep.
me again, and then I'll let you guys take it away. So you'll recall a couple of months ago, Aqua announced that they would be doing 2 concurrent elections, the election for the vice president and president, and then also the region, ours is Region 3, elections concurrently. Normally, they did the vice president and the president at their annual meeting in the fall, but they decided to do it this way for the 2024-2025 election term. So a couple of months ago, your board designated President Jeff Kearns as the TUD's authorized voting representative, but then also wanted to bring it back for discussion when it was time for the actual vote. So President Kearns received electronic ballots, is that correct?
That's correct.
And those got sent out mid to late July. And so in front of you is a summary of what is up for the vote. So he received 2 separate emails, one for the vice president and the president. So for president is only one candidate, Kathy Green. I attached her bio to your board packet. And then for vice president, there are 2 candidates, Ernesto A. Avila, which is the election committee's preferred candidate per their election ballot email, and Michael Saunders. The vote is just for one vice president and one president. And then also for Region 3 candidates, there's a nominating committee recommended slate, and so that's listed there as well. There's 7 folks total. 1 would be the chair, 1 would be the vice chair, and then the other 5 would be the board members. So with that, I think I'll just turn it over to you, President Kearns, and for board discussion.
Okay. All right, yeah, as Abby just said, Kathy Green is the only candidate for president. However, for vice president with the 2, you've got Ernie Avila and Michael Saunders, both representing both Northern California districts, which I always like to see personally. So I'll open it up for discussion. Good, Director Balin.
Yeah, I'll just say, first with Kathy Green, of course, she served under Pam Tobin as president, and they worked really well together. They just really initiated some really good leadership programs to make it more inclusive throughout the state, and the whole demographic of Aqua is changing, and they focused on successive leadership. I mean, they're really they really got their finger on the pulse of California, I think. And I just feel that Kathy, even though she's the only one, she's been fully vetted, and she served 2 years under Pam as the outgoing, and Pam will still be involved.
I agree. How about vice president? I know you're pretty active
Yeah,
going to Aqua.
both these guys are great. I think that Ernie has been in the trenches a little bit longer. I think but I'm watching Michael be a full participant wherever he goes. He's certainly involved in Region 3.
Mhm.
He's right there at the table every time, and he listens to everybody's concerns. But I think in terms of experience, let's say, I think Ernie is a little more ready, but both would serve us really well.
Mhm. Ernie, or excuse me, Michael, I know he's been involved in Mountain County Water. And then also he represents Georgetown, correct? Yeah. And I've spoke with him personally. I've never met Ernie. I really like Michael, and comes from a similar district that we have. But I know that you go to a lot of the Aqua meetings. That's why I was wondering your take on that. So thank you very much. Anybody else? Anybody else have any? Ron, Director Ring?
Yeah, I thought the slate was really represents Mountain counties well. There's a lot of Mountain County people on there, so it looked pretty darn good to me.
Yeah. Well, Abby, I have a procedural question. Do we need an actual action for me to vote? Do we need a board action for me to vote? Or is it strictly my decision or?
Voting representative for TUD, you place the vote electronically. There's nothing that says the board has to concur or take action for you to vote.
Okay. All right. Well, I certainly am open to hearing anybody's, any and all's comments on this. So if any of you have Kathy, Kathy's going to get our vote. She's the only one running for president. However, for vice president between Michael Saunders and Ernie Avila, I really would like to get the flavor of the board. I know, like I say, I'm kind of leaning towards Michael myself, but I'd like to hear from the rest of you if you have any comments on it.
Well, I spoke my piece. You didn't get a flavor in reading their two bios? No.
I
Ringen?
read both of their bios, and I quite honestly was like,
Yeah. Okay. Director Boatright?
I concur with Director Ringen's last statement as far as reading through, but leaning towards mountain communities or mountain counties. Somebody who's been directly involved with that definitely seems like a better vote.
Okay.
So,
All right. Well, then I'll take that under advisement, and I'm going to the CSDA meeting later in this month here at Monterey. Hopefully both these gentlemen will be there. That would be nice. And I can chat with them, but I'll get that vote in by the September 15th deadline.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So no action needed on that item, correct?
For Region 3. if you-
Oh, yeah. Excuse me.
Yeah, Region
You bet.
3.
We've got the other one there. Thank you for reminding me. Okay, so anybody want to take a stab at that? And where'd that list go? Go ahead.
That may be helpful is, so I added the nominating committee's recommended slate, so there's two ways for you to vote. President Kearns is just to say, I agree with the nominating committee's recommendation, or you can individually vote for a separate board chair or vice chair. So that it gives you two options on your ballot.
Okay, it's virtually the same, isn't it? There isn't.
All 7 of those individuals will be on the Region 3 board. It's just in what capacity.
Yeah, so it's almost moot, right?
Just depends on if you have a preference of who you think would better serve the committee chair. Or the
Yeah.
Region board.
We got Larry McKinney there. The nominating committee recommended him. He's from Amador Water Agency, another mountain community. Vice Chair Michael Saunders from Georgetown as well. And then the other board members, all good people. I've met I've met, I believe every single one of them. I'm sure you have too, Barbara.
Yeah, because Larry McKinney is applied for the general manager, but he came from the Metropolitan Water and SoCal. So that's the cool part of some of this, even though they're NorCal, they come with breadth of experience. Although Jim Abercrombie was at Amador before this, so he's kind of a local guy, but I go with the nominating committee's recommendation.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that too. Anybody else have any comments on that? Okay, then that's what I'll do. I'll go ahead and vote the nominating committee's recommendation on that. And then on the vice president, like I say, I'll hopefully get to chat with both those guys, especially Ernie. I haven't met Ernie before, so. Okay, so no action needed on that one. Okay, thank you. We'll move on unless somebody else has anything else to say on that.
I just want to comment that in the past, we've had electeds on this, and I see we have all general managers, and I just want to say on mountain counties, it's all electeds, whether it's supervisors or water purveyors. So just an interesting difference. It hasn't always been this way, and I suspect it's not going to always be where you've got all general managers here.
Yeah. Looks like Michael Saunders is a director.
Is he a director? Oh,
Yeah,
I
everybody
apologize.
else is- Yeah. Yeah, you're right, though. That's a good point.
Yeah, he's the director.
Okay. Is that it? All right, moving on. Item number 7, Melissa.
Okay, board to consider authorizing submission of a funding application for the Mueller Mutual Water Company Consolidation Project through the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund Program.
Hey, good morning. So Cindy's here to present, but I'll kind of introduce the item real quick, just a little bit of background. Maybe everybody kind of remembers, but just for a little refresher. The Mueller Mutual Water System is a wholesale customers of TUD and has been since we purchased the Ponderosa water system in whatever year that was, 98, I think, something like that. So they're downstream of the Ponderosa water system. They've been around for decades. Their distribution system, so we wholesale them treated water from Ponderosa. Their distribution system is decades old and showing its age. It's due for replacement. They some time back they put in for a planning grant, TUD support, and they were approved planning grant. And so this has come before the board several times. Their distribution is in disarray, their storage is deplorable. So it's time for them to, make improvements, and that they can't afford it on their own rate. So they've come to us with the thought of consolidating, and we've had a bunch of steps at this point, and Cindy's going to give us one more update or one more deal. Go ahead, Cindy.
Technology challenge here. This is the third resolution that's come before the board. The first one was for this same application. Blackwater, who is submitting the application on our behalf, has asked that we follow the language that's on the state revolving fund program resolution format. So this would replace the one that was signed on March 14th. There was another one signed on June 7th, but that was for the expedited drinking water application. So there's 2 applications that they're working on. Any questions?
So there's 2 different, so if we pass this resolution, we'll have 2 different funding packages out there. Okay.
Correct. We're almost ready to submit this one, the drinking water state revolving fund.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was the issue that you and I talked about along with you, Cindy, that the language did change.
Yes.
And we didn't feel that it was, we didn't feel comfortable signing that changed language without bringing it back before the board. Do we want to read those changes there, or?
I can tell you
I
what
would feel
they
more
are.
comfortable if you did.
Yep.
Yeah.
So in the resolution title, instead of saying a grant application, it is a drinking water state revolving fund program application.
Mhm.
And then again, in the where it says we intend to apply for grant funding from the California Department of Water Resources. It now says funding from the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund Program. And then in number 2 and number 3 is just expanded language for the designee being authorized to execute the funding agreement. And on number 3, the general manager designate the entity and what their responsibilities are. They've expanded that. So do you have a copy of this in front of you? You want me to expand on that? Let me know.
Anybody else need any further explanation from Cindy?
I actually had a tough time hearing me. I don't know if your mic was close enough or not, but. Dawn, is this another step towards our consolidation with the future upper basin water treatment and along those lines? So we're going to gain transmission line in that direction?
Yes, it lends itself well. So of course, you know, we're heavily involved with the design and with our input. So it does fit in nicely with our total consolidation effort that's down the road. So I didn't quite finish describing where they are situated within our system. So they're just downstream of the Ponderosa water system and just upstream of the Tuolumne water system. So having this right-sized pipe main will help connect those 3 systems from now the upper basin system to the Ponderosa system, which should get consolidated someday, consolidate the Mueller water system, and 40 years from now, possibly consolidate the Tuolumne system as well. Possibly. But at least we'll have some redundancy in there for maintenance purposes.
Anything else, David? Okay. Any other questions? I see Director Jacobs is reaching for his microphone.
Yeah, I had a question. I noticed on the Blackwater map that was supplied, there are a number of storage tanks being demolished, but it wasn't clear to me if and where we're adding storage capacity.
If I remember right, the tanks being demolished were the Mueller tank.
Yeah, I have a little bit of knowledge. Yeah. So I don't know how many years, 5, 6, 7 years ago, again, their storage tanks were in very bad shape, so much so that they became a sanitary defect for their system. So they just simply took them offline and left them offline. They're sitting there in a state of decay, but yes, they're offline, which caused a huge problem for when trying to meet demand. So through this, they will get formally destroyed and removed off the site. But the plan later for a storage tank above them. So currently above them is the Rainbow Reservoir, and we have to pump water out of the Rainbow Reservoir to them. And that's just not ideal. We need to secure some land around that Rainbow site. I think I've taken Director Ringen up there a few times. We need to secure some land up there. We're trying to, we're coordinating with the property owner. We need to secure some land up there, erect a new tank, new storage facility that will feed them by gravity versus pump this supply, so that it can take care of the high demand.
And are any of those expenses captured in the proposal?
There are. So part of their fees that they'll pay TUD will be to fund a portion of that tank.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
All right, any other comments? Okay, so any public comment? Corey? Okay, bring it back to the board then. I'll just remind everybody that we voted on this back in March or whenever it was and approved it. This today was just a language issue on the application. So, hey, we appreciate the questions as well. So, all right, so I'll entertain a motion if nobody else has anything to say about it. Okay.
And I'll second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded to approve the new resolution for Mueller. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0.
Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you, Cindy. Melissa.
Okay, staff reports.
I'm gonna let Abby and Emily go first.
So I am mostly just gonna.
Hand it over to Emily, but we did some fuels reduction, or we received grant funding a couple of years ago for fuel reduction in a number of water treatment facility sites, and also included in that was originally the Twainhart wastewater treatment plant. Because of cost escalation and things like that, and the magnitude of the fuels reduction that we did at the water treatment plant, we came up short for funding for the Twainhart wastewater treatment plant. So earlier this year, there was another CAL FIRE grant for fuels reduction, and we felt like it fit perfectly with the Twainhart wastewater treatment plant to make sure that we can get that almost 30 acres done for fuels reduction. So with that, Emily submitted that application, so I'll let her talk about that. But Emily also is working on FEMA public assistance grants, disaster recovery grants, which takes very meticulous work and patience and all of those things, working through those processes. They don't make it easy, but it's definitely worth it to recover the funding from the storm. So with that, I'm going to let Emily talk about the grant.
Okay. Good morning. Emily Long, Administrative Services and External Affairs Specialist. So I just wanted to report, like Abby was saying, on some good news regarding the CAL FIRE Wildfire Prevention Grant that we submitted in March for the TUD Critical Facilities Fuels Reduction Project. And we received notification a couple weeks ago that our grant application was selected for funding. So it's a little over $160,000 grant, and it's to cover the cost of fuels reduction around the Twainhart wastewater treatment facility, and by means of hand thinning and mastication on 33 acres to help protect critical district infrastructure from the threat of wildfire. So my first grant, I'm really excited about it. So if you have any questions, let me know.
Thank you, Emily.
Thank you.
As I recall, when we were putting in for the original grant, Director Boatwright had mentioned, I don't know if you're a staff member or director at the time, but hey, shouldn't we think about the Twainhart treatment plant? Yeah. Anyway, didn't get the first time, but we got it the second time. So that's awesome.
Still needs to be done.
Yeah, sure does. So, well, the wildlife up there is just beautiful right now up there at the treatment plant. It's fun to see.
Well, it'll enhance the habitat up there as well too, because the 30 acres is partial wetlands, and the old spray fields are actually still mostly open, but you give a wildlife corridor through there that is just bottlenecked and, you know, choked in right now.
Yep.
So good deal. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily.
Yeah.
Who's
thank you.
next?
Congratulations. Yeah.
All right, I'll be quick as I can be. On the 25th, right after the board meeting, I met with Director Jacobs to discuss all things TUD, and I really like the opportunity to talk about TUD and everything that's going on here. So I appreciate you being inquisitive and wanting to meet. And we need some windshield time, I think, to really get a grasp of things. But like the reclamation system, how that works, or at least not how it works. Have to go with Director Boatwright on how it works. On the 26th, I had a phone call with Rick Lynn to discuss the next step regarding the wildfires defense plan / grant. So, and I know we have a committee meeting coming on a Friday for that. So that's good. On the 28th, several of us met with the Division of Finance to talk about a possible funding offer from the state revolving fund. So that's good news. Hopefully we'll get some fund for the Sierra Pines regional water treatment plant, that is. Let's see, on 8/1, I got to meet with Director Ringen. We got some windshield time to tour some of TUD facilities. That was a good meeting with him. And then on 8/3, we had an internal meeting here on Mono Village tanks planning. So things are moving along pretty good there with the Mono Village tanks. So that's all I have.
So on those Mono Village tanks, what is the status of them now? I think you mentioned to me, we had a phone call about that too as well.
Sure. So today, currently, 2 of the 3 tanks are offline. They've been drained. So they're situated like this. A B, and C. But A, B, and C.
Different elevations.
No, they're all exact same elevation.
Okay,
That's why I lowered it like this. So, but they're in a kind of a triangle
okay.
form.
Gotcha.
So it's basically it's a one pressure zone areas. Those are the main three tanks that feed the entire system. So it's nearly impossible to take all three tanks offline and be able to supply enough volume and pressure for all the right reasons. We have a small connection with the Summit tank, which is upstream, but it's too small to supply on its own. So anyway, it was, through the early reports that we got from Aquatech was A and C were the trouble tanks. B wasn't in great shape either. So ultimately all three tanks need to come down, but we can't, in order to replace one tank, put a new tank on site, one of the three must remain in service. So
Gotcha.
we think it's B, but we want to take a double check and look and make sure it's not one of the others. So that's kind of where we're at. So staff has has gotten a bid to check the coatings to make the paint, make sure there's no lead on them, so we can have the tanks destroyed. Pretty soon we'll have, when we decide which tank we want to take, which two tanks we want to take down, we'll put out a bid and get quotes on getting some tanks to be taken down. Once they're down, we'll find the right location, do some geotech, find out, how the soil is, make sure it's fine, and then we'll order a tank.
Okay. You think we're going to wind up with another 3-tank cluster, or we just go to one big tank, or what do you think is going to happen?
We will not go with a 3-tank cluster there. No, we will not do that. If time was on our side, I mentioned the Summit tank, we'd explore, we have some property up there, explore a tank up there, and still will for long range planning, but how we can supplement that supply from upstream versus downstream. So we just don't have the benefit of time. So we're going to be, stuck with having a tank there on that site for 30 to 40 years.
Okay. And just to a little history there, this was all infrastructure that TUD inherited over the years, correct?
Yeah, 2003, we took on the Mona Village water system, and with those 3 tanks and 6 wells and a surface water treatment plant, an iron and manganese treatment plant. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Cause that's an interesting design to have 3 tanks at the same location like that. So I'm sure they had their reasons at the time, but I'm glad to hear that we're looking to put 1 tank in to replace those 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do it in short order, as quick as we can.
Good deal. Any other staff? Abby? Okay. We never hear from Corey. You got any staff reports, Corey? Okay. All right. Just want to give you the opportunity. Okay. We'll move on to directors. Who wants to go first?
Yes, I can.
Go ahead.
All right, 727. Attended and participated in Mountain County's Water Resources Association Legislative Committee meeting. The committee continues to work on evaluating and putting together suggestions for the board of Mountain Counties of various legislative actions that are going on up the Capitol. So and we've already sent some stuff up to the board, as Director Balin knows. So that's continuing work there. And then what I found interesting is that we had our first conversation about the this upcoming electric vehicle thing that's coming down the pipe.
Carb.
Yeah. And so I don't know where that's going to go, but everybody's concerned. So hopefully we can come up with some ideas on that, because I think we're going to be put in a position that we don't want to get put in, financially, as well as just especially like with TUD, how many vehicles we've got. How are you going to charge those damn things? And you're going to have charging stations everywhere.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
I was happy to see that Justin jumped in with mountain counties to join the coalitions. We've already part of a coalition. I don't know if we have a name for the coalition, but we've joined a coalition with CCWD, Utica, and others. So I was really happy to see mountain counties kind of jump in there too and play a role in here. So it's tricky, we understand, from a technology standpoint, it's a neat thing to utilize the sun for solar, but in practice here in the mountains, it's a bit challenging. You see what our fuel is, our not just the cost, because the costs are escalating, but the amount of fuel we use. So it's an indication how much solar we're going to need. We got to travel out there in the backcountry and get back. So it's going to be challenging. But so CARB put in this policy. It's a policy, but there are provisions to apply for extensions. But all the entities, TUD is one of them. We have to go through certain steps to make sure we get those extensions when we can. So.
Get Director Ringen, may I jump in here? For
Sure.
a second on this. Don, we know how much gasoline and diesel fuel we use on a monthly basis down, to the gallon. Would it be worthwhile to jump through the mathematical equations to equate that to the kilowatts needed to charge a fleet to do the same task?
Yeah, I think yes, I think that's one of the steps we should do. I think that'd be prudent for all of us to do this, each entity. I've seen this, somebody did this for something else I saw it online. So that's a good idea. Try and figure that out. I think there's an equation.
Thank you, Director Ringen.
Yeah, going along with what you just said, I've been looking at various things online about electric vehicles, and they're all over the map as far as how far they'll go on a charge. So that calculation is going to be difficult to come up with until you know what what vehicles you've got to work with. Right. Okay, then on 8.1, as General Manager mentioned, he and I inspected the Millville lift station, the well station at Millville, and what was impressive, excuse me, is all of the work is being done by TUD crews, all of it, and I was impressed. It was really real well done. And it'll last for a long time. I mean, it looks to me like it's first class. So, and then we also checked out the Ridgewood Phoenix Lake intertie projects, and once again, that's really impressive for the the job was really well done. I mean, you can't even tell the crews were there and put the pipe in the ground and all that, but what's really impressive is the fact that how much of the old junk infrastructure has been taken offline. I mean, that's going to save a ton of money. So anyway, that's it for me.
Okay. Director Boatright, you have anything?
Just a comment. Thank you for the update on the Mono Village tanks.
You're welcome. Thank you for the concern.
Okay. Director Balin?
Let's see, on August 2nd, I met kind of an informal meeting, a listening session at the Farm Bureau. Hear some of the concerns about the water users there. So it was just a listening session, and they have concerns. So that was that. Then on August, let's see, Friday, I had a Mountain Counties meeting, executive meeting up at El Dorado, and we talked about let's see, what did we talk about? Mountain Counties testified in opposition to the those bills. We took, I think they adjusted some language. I think 2 bills. These are the water rights bills. 2 of them went down in opposition, but this 3rd one, they revised the language on, and we're just taking a neutral position, as it are other people. And I have some, let's see, recruitment, we talked about, our membership is growing, but we can also begin to always recruit folks. So that was part of the discussion. And let's see. I think that's all my notes. Oh, yeah. Also want to call to the attention. I was talking to Don before the meeting, is that PG&E scrapped their tree trimming operations, that it wasn't really efficient, and they're moving towards burying their power lines. They're looking at other tools and what's more cost effective. So they're spending an awful lot of money on something that perhaps could lower the risk for 13%. Again, I think we really have to not be lulled into the words sustainability, vegetation, risk reduction is, we don't know. I don't think we've seen anything yet. So in terms of fire intensity and fire duration. And so as you guys know, I have real concerns about money pits, and that unless you use herbicides, you're going to be into this cycle of creating more even age brush over time. So I think strategically there's a way to do that. But I was just pleased to see that the tree trimming operations have backed off. It's very expensive operation for unguaranteed return, which is quote safer community. And then let's see. Yeah, I just wanted to congratulations to the Tuolumne Band of Miwok, because they did the Conservation Corps is giving money to tribes, and the Miwok had gotten 2.4 million. And that is to train the youth in ecological restoration and looking at their plants, culturally significant plants, working with nature and doing vegetation management. And I think that is kind of the way of the future, and really looking at systems management, and they're doing it. So I think that they're definitely on the right track, and they're training their youth in looking at the ground and making a plan and looking at their management objectives for a large range of multifunctional benefits, including the environment. That's novel. So just again, congratulations to tribe. And I think Chicken Ranch is doing something similar.
Are they great?
Yeah.
Director Dale,
That's all I
yeah,
have.
yeah. So maybe you know this, but maybe not everybody does. So we are doing, PG&E is doing some undergrounding here locally. I think recently they've been up Mono Village Way near our lift station. So on one hand, it does make sense, but it does sort of transfer that danger to the rest of us who actually work in the utilities underground. So we just have to be more cognizant of where their lines are. So when we're doing our work, we can be safe too. So just know that some of that undergrounding is happening here locally, which I'm very happy for. And the other point that you made about fields management, while yes, we're successful in getting some grants, we've done many acres, maybe hundreds of acres of fields management to date. That's going to need more management. And I don't know that we can always wait for grants to continue to manage some of that treatment, to continue the treatment. So we don't have the risk again in 10 years. So that's going to be an expense that we're going to have to we'll look for grants to see if there's some way to maintain it with grants. But if it isn't grant funded, we're going to have to fund it ourselves. So just food for thought for later.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Part of the problem is a 1-year entry, and they hit it hard. They shock the ground, et cetera. And instead of maybe a 5-year canopy, work with it. So yeah, we'll see how all that pans out. The last thing I wanted to say is that we have a ditch committee meeting this Friday, and I hope everybody can tune in. We're going to have a PowerPoint. Rick Lind, an environmental consultant team he's with, is done a great job in identifying or wanting to move forward and getting grants to identify areas along the ditch that we can then draw from and save our potable water by using non-potable. So I think it's going to be a great PowerPoint, and I encourage everybody, it's 8 o'clock Friday morning, to tune in. It'll be online, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Good.
And I think it would be a good idea if we invited the supervisors from the Natural Resources Committee to tune in.
I did ask Dory to tune in, or actually I wanted her to come. So I think
Yes,
Dory's going to come. Yeah.
That would be great.
Yeah.
And perhaps Supervisor Half and Supervisor Kirk.
Kirk, yeah. Maybe you can reach out to Supervisor Half.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Be happy to.
yeah, I think they would be
Yep.
very pleased to see, this is this is just really, I think, a smart way of looking at our water.
Right.
And took a while to get there, but I think offering this for the whole community benefit is something that they would find of interest.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Ron?
Going along with that, one of the things that they are discussing right now, I believe, they had a special meeting today, is insurance, home insurance.
Yeah.
And I think that what TUD is doing here shows that we're doing things that are going to help the community and maybe would be a sales point to insurance companies that we're not sitting on our hands, we're actually doing something.
Good point. Anything else, Director Balin?
That's it.
Okay, Director Jacobs.
Yes, I'd like to mention that on August the 26th, I was asked to join General Manager Perkins and Eric Hall to meet with a former congressman who was interested in Tuolumne County water issues, George Radovich. So
Radanovich.
sorry.
Yeah.
So he was quite, I think it was quite an eye opener for him to learn first, closer to firsthand the issues we deal with. He was quite impressed.
That was when?
That was on Wednesday, the 26th.
Oh, July.
26th.
Okay, you said
Yeah.
August. Okay,
I'm sorry.
or at least I heard August. Okay.
Yeah, I believe the former congressman's running for assembly in this district.
I think he's a former
He's been
assembly.
here before.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, he's been a big advocate for Tuolumne County in years past. Yeah. Yeah.
Good.
Okay, I had two items. Dawn, you and I spent a long time on the phone. I believe it was the 31st. I just got home from vacation.
It was.
We talked about all things TUD, so I appreciate you taking the time to do that. Thank you. The other thing is just delivered here this morning was a letter from the League of Women's Voters. And I'm not going to read you the whole letter, but they're basically saying that they're going to be attending our meetings. And Barbara noted that they already have been, and that they just want to educate themselves on the workings of our local government and share their knowledge with other league members. So we welcome them and any other organization for that matter to come to our meetings, and we look forward to it. So just want to give a shout out to the league for taking that initiative and promising to be here. So that's all I have. Anybody else for the good of the order before we adjourn? Okay. Then we will close the meeting. Thank you very much for coming. Don't forget that ditch committee meeting on Friday.